Should have just put a little something in the description of what I was getting ready to talk about, because it's imperative that we begin the conversation about America and its offer of citizenship and its offer of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness when we're talking about African American people, as the mandatory compulsory laws affect our people greatly. And our people have tried and tried and tried again to understand just what's happening. But when the system just continues to move without your involvement and you have to pay just as everyone else, then that's just unacceptable. Do you understand when I'm saying what's unacceptable as an American citizen and you know who you are? It's unacceptable for an unknown authority to limit an individual, and I don't care which individual it is. I understand insurrection and I understand what President Trump did, but he should have been taken out of office immediately when he started to cause all the chaos. And just there are people that wanted to believe that the South still won the war. And then after they lost the war, they put up all those monuments to what? Because they were in charge. They were running how the money is allocated in the cities because black people just had not gotten there yet. But when blacks started to get there, and we started to have the effect on engaging our people so that they understand that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness comes from e pluribus unum, out of many, there'll be one. Meaning that the many have to stand for the one who looks like them. And the reality is that my people understand Malcolm. My people understand Dr. King. Celebrate, yes. That he ever lived, yes. That he was outspoken, yes. That he was murdered, no. No, it's unacceptable. George Floyd was murdered. It's unacceptable that Breonna Taylor was shot. I mean, you could just start going through them and listening to the names of the people whose lives were taken too early and understand that there were legal settlements behind those deaths. But there's no settlement for the people who are forced to understand that happens. That's abuse. People don't understand what abuse is. I can tell you what abuse is. I can tell you what oppression is. Abuse is not having the same rights as everyone else. So when it comes to them saying you have breast cancer, that you're not entitled to a second opinion, because Kaiser doesn't do that. Well, Kaiser didn't give me my disability either, but they got paid. But it really didn't matter. The limited disability that they gave me, it had nothing to do with what had happened to me. Because when you work in a toxic environment, you just become infected with whatever. I mean, there are so many ways to infect people. I mean, please keep your mask on when you are out there so you don't get anybody else's germs and they can't get yours. You get it? It has to do with an infringement on liberty. And either way it goes, the disease was not created, or perhaps it was created by man. I really don't know. But it doesn't matter because it is out there. And the best thing you could do is tend to yourself, keeping away from others that you don't know and you don't understand their behavior. That's the best thing you could do for yourself. But when you want to walk around like what? I don't know. And then you don't understand. And then when it affects you, you want to be sorry and wish you had changed your behavior. Because the opportunity, it's kind of like when God is calling you and you're stuck in a flood. I heard that in church many times. I think, it's a little time for a little bit of, church here. Because, there was a man and he was living in a house and his house was in threat of imminent flood. And he said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here with my house. I'm protecting my house. And the water got up to the first floor and he went upstairs. And the water came up to the second floor. And then he went in the attic. And then the water came up through the attic and he was sitting on the top of his roof. And he said, Lord, why didn't you save me? And the Lord talked about all the different interventions that he sent his way. And quite frankly, he shunned them off. So, when you're choosing to do you, what do you think is going to be any different? I mean, we live through trials and tribulations, and that means what? That the trouble we face has to do with the reality that we live under. And in America, where we all pay taxes, we all pay the same taxes. And the outcomes and the maintenance come from the involvement of public policy. And when you're seen as a menace to society, well, what goddamn, whose society you a menace to? Because obviously, somebody doesn't want to follow the rules. And the rules of engagement say that if we all pay, then we all benefit. And as for the benefit that you're just limiting our people to, the reality is that this is 2021, boo. And you can't sit on our necks publicly. And no, you can't keep showing up with a different plan another way. I mean, you didn't get it through Department of Education, no, because guess what? The Department of Education cannot do your plan for you. Individually, the money is going to go directly to the district and to the schools who say that they're doing the work. Now, if they're not doing the work, they won't have any data. And they don't have any data. And this has been allowed to happen forever and ever and ever. And as the rules that never apply to us, well, they do apply to you. They apply to you every time you understand that you must fight to win. And just because you sit at home and allow things to happen to the people who look like you because you think that you are powerless, that is in your mind. That is called bamboozled. And they knew that you would be swayed because they killed Martin. They killed Medgar. They killed anybody who could help you to think about freedom, being free. And so you sat back and you allowed them to make all the decisions. And I'm sorry. When I look at the outcomes of the decisions that were made here in Clark County, unacceptable. I do not understand the consent decree. I do not understand the prime 6 schools. I do not understand Victory and Zoom, although Victory and Zoom are operating in a manner which is closely aligned to the outcomes and the responsibility of the regulatory guidance from the federal government. And it's just real. I mean, what's real? What's not real about it? Got this little fan here. It's so cute. Oh my Lord. Everything is real when you live in America. And when you understand that Donald Trump was trying to appoint so many federal judges. Well, why federal judges, boo? Appointments are forever. But elections are what? Real. They represent the people. And in some places, judges are elected. And in those places, my people need to understand that perhaps their voices are relevant. How do you continue to pay for the murders of the people who look like you? Because, when they pay them out of the funds of the city, you're paying them to murder your own people. And you're paying for it because you don't give a damn how they take the taxes out of your paycheck. Listen, we're paying for a system of what? A system of America. The operating system of America has a footprint in every state in America. Every city has a city plan. Every state has a state plan. Every county has a county plan. And where are you, my people? Because I'm looking for where are those black public administrators that provided the plan to Clark County so that they could submit it? It said Clark County Black Public Administrators. Well, hell, I don't know any of them. I've tried to understand what's out there, and I've had an opportunity to meet and talk to the past board member at Clark County, and I even had an opportunity to talk to my current board member of the area that I live in and understand that the measly $160 that we pay for property taxes here is a blessing for me anyway. Because if something happens, I have to cover all the whatever happens here because I'm the adult here and I have a 24-year-old who is in the spectrum, and eventually we're going to have a placement for him, but he is a very happy child and he is not unhappy. And the pandemic did have no effect on him. And he, of course, He was concerned when I decided that we would take the shots, but we took the shots and we took the Johnson and Johnson. And guess what? Had no effect. I was trying to wait for my arm to get sore, or to have some diarrhea or to have some vomiting or anything that would say that a foreign object had entered my body. But, most likely I'd already been injected with something. As in 2021, you don't understand that you take medication that is strictly for you, boo, and not for anyone else. You're not supposed to share your medicine. So hell, you don't know what's in your medication. And if you're taking too much medication and it ain't helping you, you better understand. He got that. God got it, because if you just get off your ass and do what you need to do and exercise and eat right and stop drinking so much damn alcohol pickling your body. And I got to tell you, the worst drug out there is tobacco, because every day when I was a smoker, goddamn, if I didn't have a cigarette by 5 o'clock, I was a bitch. And that is not real. And it's unreal how that nicotine withdrawal is. It's unreal, but it's real. So don't ever start smoking. If you ain't smoking, don't smoke. What can I say? Now, marijuana is a whole different thing. Because it takes care of the pain, and it's God's remedy to self-sustainability. I mean, as long as I was taking the medication, it was messing up my veins in my legs, and I was having, my ankles were swelling, and I've got busted, but it really messed up my legs. But who can I sue for that? Because that medication was affecting me, and I didn't know it until I asked. I had been seeing this doctor, but she really didn't, whatever. But anyway, I said, well, what is going on with my legs? She said, oh, that's the medicine. I said, oh. She said, oh, yes, that's the medicine. It's working. I said, no, it's not supposed to work like that. So I stopped taking that medicine because it was working. And then she tried to give me another medicine, and then that shot my blood pressure all the way up to 260. It had never been that high. So I stopped taking everything for about 2 weeks. And then I started taking just the water pill. And then my blood pressure just regulated 119, 80, whatever, 72, whatever. It really didn't matter, because it was not off the charts anymore, and that means it was not damaging my body anymore. And we all have to be responsible for what we put inside our bodies, and we don't know, and they don't know either. So when they said I had breast cancer, well, they did all of it and took the whole breast. It was about 4 surgeries, and then they wanted to do more to rebuild no thank you for the rebuilding. I almost died twice, as I hemorrhaged both times. And quite frankly, if it hadn't been for my family and my sister, I would not be here today. But the universe has a purpose for me, and I am enjoying life right now because I can see just what's happening. And so many people are getting paid out of the coffers of the federal government, but perhaps they didn't understand that all of that money had ties and regulations. And I suggest that people start getting to work. And if you don't want to work and do this work, then move on, because there are other people that are capable. There are other people that have never been able to get in the door. Somebody's knocking and somebody's ringing the bell. But so many people have not been able to work in the field where there is money available. And the flexibility of this money has always been without requirements, but I can promise you that there were requirements, and perhaps you didn't understand that money came with ties. But before this year is over, I promise you, because there's been no waivers for IDEA. That means that under Child Fine, the obligation to the state is to issue guidance to the local people that they must do assessments and evaluations to determine exactly where the children are when they enter upon educational opportunity. And then, by the end of the year, they must talk about the progress that they made, not identify all the dysfunctional things that happen within the city, because I can promise you that county plan has all of the negative data. And they do talk about black people, and they talk about their inability to have an education, and they talk about the poor educational system here. Well, it doesn't have to be poor, because it's the 5th largest school district in the nation, and there are so many So much money. I mean, you better start looking at the buildings and understand who the fucking contractors were, because they're making goo gods of money because they just keep on building these beautiful buildings. And then as for the maintenance on the older buildings where you is, where no more money comes, oh, but the money's going there. But the money's not being utilized where you are. No, because you have all temporary teachers and nobody's responsible for the failure over there. A letter grade of F is just an option. And when failure is an option in America, well, I never knew that. It's something that I don't understand. I'm so confused. But that's okay. We're going to get down to the bottom of the confusion, and we're going to understand that all children have the same rights and the responsibilities of people who've chosen to step up and participate in providing this wonderful opportunity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of therefore. In America, it is you, and it is only you. So like, subscribe, and follow me. I am on, what is that? YouTube, Darlene Anderson, 1958. That's my YouTube channel. And then I have a Facebook channel. It's Darlene Billups Anderson. I just put my middle name in there, Billups Gas Station. Understand that one day we will be getting some reparations, and not yet. And then understand this, that freedom has never been free. And the word is e pluribus unum. Out of many there's one, but out of one there'll be none. And who will you be in 2021? I mean, I like Umar Johnson. I think he is a child psychologist, and I think that he understands that a lot of our children are placed in special ed and they're perhaps not needing additional services. But what I don't see is the direction for the people to understand how to just advocate for themselves, and how freedom is not free, but failure is not an option. And so when you understand your rights, then guess what? Your children don't fail, because it's called accountability. And it's called accountability. And if you would like to have the money that is the federal dollars, then you will do the work. And I can promise you the work will be done. So the word is e pluribus unum. Out of many there's one, but out of one there'll be none. And who will you be in 2021? Quite frankly, I understand America. And if you've never understood America, understand public policy, and understand elected officials who get elected to represent what? They get elected to represent you, my friend. And if your people are not making it and you're not saying nothing, I just don't understand anymore. Because I've never seen such fraud in my life. I mean, it's just straight up fraud. I mean, when they don't have the data, and they just refuse to acknowledge that I have a right to have access to understand what they're doing for African American children, as the law requires mandatory attendance at the age of 7, and perhaps children could be, redirected and not allowed to, because there was no space, and space has always been, the consequence. You're just sacrificed, and you're on your own. You're just on your own. But no, you're not on your own, because you're generating the money as an individual under the census, and as a person who would be eligible to participate at the age of 3 years old. Well, the money comes to the state to allow you to have access. But when they're denying your access and awarding themselves, well, I don't know what you call that. Hello? I think you call it fraud. And so I love to talk to myself, and it's okay, because I can look at myself, and I'm not a bad looking chick. And quite frankly, I love myself, and I have a reason to love myself, because I was successful in raising my sons. And even though a lot of people would like to say single women cannot raise black men, I can bear to, hey, my sons know who they are, and they had to understand that it was a choice of their parent, the other parent, to choose not to stand up. But I can guarantee you, if my sons have children, they will never leave. They will be by their children's side their whole life, their whole entire life. So, choose well when you choose to be with a woman. Choose that you could stand up and work as a team so that your children can be well cared for. I mean, all this shit behind child support and child protective services, and no opportunity to learn, no opportunity to benefit from what we pay for as all citizens. If you're ever going to be born in America and work a job, you're going to pay some taxes. And those monies come back to the local communities to help the people who are less fortunate than you. But then guess what? If you want to regulate that shit to where it's not benefiting them, I just don't understand what's going on. I'm so confused. Pimping ain't easy, but I always say, goddamn, somebody's got to do it. And it happens well when they can just straight up, end your ability to communicate. No, we have the right to freedom of speech. We have the right to freedom of liberty. We have the right to freedom of religion and whatever you'd like to call it. Universal peace. It's my right to do what I do, and I do it well. So, until we meet again, this is Darlene Anderson saying like, subscribe, and follow me. Go back and check out my past videos. I can promise you that in America, we are all American. And guess what? Plans are submitted and approved from other states. So, I mean, it's not about the comparisons of the data of the lack of outcomes, and you put yourself right there where you can't, where you're comparing yourself to the people on the bottom. No, it's not about that. It is about meeting the opportunity to benefit for the children that you claim that you're providing support for, that you don't have evidence and you're really not providing support. What you're doing is harvesting, because that's exactly what happened on the plantation. We're not picking cotton anymore. What we're doing is harvesting babies, and that's not going to happen in 2022. So wake up. We want to make sure that we are still in power in 2024. Wake up, because you matter. Everyone matters. In America, the word is e pluribus unum. Out of many, there's one. But out of one, there'll be none. So who will you be in 2021? Please like, subscribe, and follow me, and share. We have to get the word out there. Word up.